Hi everybody, this is Lindsay from windingroadcrochet.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make an applique using only single crochet with increases and decreases. If you like this tutorial, make sure to like it, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can also leave a comment below letting me know what kind of patterns and tutorials you'd like to see me do next. So to make a single crochet applique, the first thing you're going to need to do is simply draw a picture. That's going to help guide us as we create this applique. It will be important that your picture has gradual changes on the sides and no really hard corners. Other things you'll need is worsted weight yarn and a size H crochet hook, but since I'm showing you the technique behind doing this, you can actually use any size hook and any size yarn. Now on these crochet appliques, we are going to be putting a row of single crochet all the way around the edges. So when we make our applique, we want to take that in consideration and just leave about a 1/4 inch space around all sides of our applique when we're creating it. So to start this applique, I am going to go ahead and make a slip knot on my hook and start chaining the width of the bottom of the vase. So taking a look at that and remembering I want some space along the edges, I'm going to go ahead and chain 4. And then I'm going to chain 1 more because that will be my turning chain. If you don't want to make your own vase, you can also just go to my blog to get the written pattern for this vase. I do recommend for any applique you're making, it's really nice to start with just an even row at the bottom. So I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and every chain across for a total of 4 single crochet. So here I'm finishing up my first row, and if we place it here, you can see that it does have about a 1/4 inch of space on each side of our starting piece. The next step in our process is to decide how much we need to increase in order to get this shape. And I do that using 3 different methods. I made some templates to show you what these methods look like. This first template I'm showing you shows an example of if we increase on the first and last stitch of every single row. If you do that, you're going to get a really quick increase along the sides. This would be great for really short, stout vases. But if I lay this over my piece, you're going to see that it's actually going to increase too quickly. So increasing on each side every row might be right for your vase, but for the vase that we're looking at, it is just too much of an increase. The next example I'm showing you is if we increase in the first stitch of every row. We're going to use this for the vase we are making, but it is also used in 2 of the pots on the cactus painting. Having only 1 crease at the beginning of every row gives you a really nice gradual increase and works really well for a lot of projects. We can compare this to our first example, which was 2 increases on every row, and you can see how much of a difference you get. We can also place this over our drawing and take a look, and you can see that the increase here is just perfectly lines up with the side of our drawing. So this is what we'll be using to make this vase. And then just taking a look at our drawing, you'll see that we'll actually work that increase up to about this point here. And then we will change to a little bit more of an even rows back and forth. So up through here, we'll do even rows with no increases. And then if you flip it over to see how it will look when we decrease, we're actually going to decrease through the rows here. We're going to decrease through the rows here, and then we will flip it over, and from here we're going to increase to finish off our vase. So we're definitely going to be using this throughout our entire pattern. The last template I want to mention only has us increase every other stitch, and it's used for another one of the pots in the cactus painting. And this one's a little bit trickier because you're increasing every other row, but because it's every other row, you have to increase in the first stitch of one row, do an even row, and then increase in the last stitch of the next row. And I'm putting the pattern for that up on the side here as well. But you can see it has a very gradual increase compared to our other 2 templates. So it might be what you're looking for if you're going for a really slender, tall, modern looking vase. And then just so you can see, if we put this next to our vase here, it's clearly not enough of an increase to work for our vase. So those are the 3 different kind of techniques you can use for increasing and decreasing. So from here, let's go ahead and start working on our vase. As we discussed, we already made our first row, and we are going to be increasing on the first stitch of every row as we move up. So if we grab our template, you can see how we are going to be just using this as a guide to tell us exactly when we are going to stop increasing. So we're going to crochet up to this point an increase in the first stitch of every row. So here I've already worked up a few rows, and I'm just going to chain 1 and then work 2 single crochet into that very first stitch. Then I will just single crochet across the row with no more increases. When I get to the end of the row, I just do a single crochet in the very last stitch, chain 1 and turn, and then once again we'll do 2 single crochet into the very first stitch of this row, and 1 single crochet into all the other stitches. So I've done my increases, and now I'm just going to work even rows without any increases for the next 3 to 4 rows, just until I reach about here. So I worked my 3 rows just straight across with no increases, and from here you can see I'm starting to go off the edge of my drawing here. So now it's definitely time for us to go ahead and start decreasing. And you can use your little template as a nice guide to tell you when to start decreasing as well. And if you're unfamiliar, here's how you decrease. Insert your hook into the first stitch and pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. That's your single crochet decrease. Now we'll just single crochet in every stitch across the row, and then when you get to the end you'll just chain 1, turn, decrease again, and single crochet across the row, and continue doing that for about 3 or 4 rows. And you can see how we're making a really pretty shape here. We're still following along with our drawing. Now from here I think we should do an even row all the way across, and then we'll begin adding the increases to finish up our vase. So I went ahead and worked that even row. Now I'm going to chain 1 and begin my increases. So 2 single crochet into the very first stitch, 1 and 2, and then single crochet in every stitch across. Then just at the end of the row you'll just chain 1, turn, and repeat with a single crochet, increase into the first stitch, and single crochet across. Here we have our finished vase, and it looks really good. It's not perfect, but that's kind of the beauty of it. The next thing we're going to do is single crochet around the edge to give it a really nice clean look. To do this, you are just going to chain 1 and then single crochet around the last single crochet of every row. So we're just working around the single crochets, the last one or first one of every row. And you're not going to do any increases or decreases. You're just going to single crochet around each stitch. And already you can see we're getting a nice clean line here. If you compare it to this other side, it looks so much better. So continue doing that all the way until you reach the bottom of our vase, and I'll show you how to do the corner. So here we are working the very last stitch along the side of the rows. And since we want to really define that corner and work along the bottom of our piece, we're going to chain 1 and then work single crochet into the opposite side of our foundation chain. So since we only did 4 single crochet in that first row, you should have 4 single crochet worked around the bottom of the row. So there is 3 and there is 4. And we're at a corner again, so we're going to chain 1 and then continue working a single crochet around the last stitch on the side of each row, and follow that all the way to the top of your vase. So here we are at the top of the vase, and just to finish off this corner we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch to one of the single crochet at the top of the vase. Now just fasten off and weave in your ends. Again, if we look at this next to our drawing, it actually turned out pretty good. You can always do some stretching and some blocking if you need to. Obviously we're sewing it in place, so it's going to be very easy to shape then as well. So that is it. That is how you make different shapes using only single crochet with increases and decreases. I hope you liked the tutorial. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment below.